Greetings! Have you missed me? At least one of you has, because I received a letter from a fan. It's so exciting, I thought I'd share it with you. It's from a Daniel Johnson of Edinburgh South. He writes, Dear McV, I love your videos about politics. You are very funny. Thanks, Dan. The way you rip into politicians is superb. This is an exciting time in Scottish politics, and the Scottish Parliament elections coming up on the 5th of May, and I wanted to write to you about some of the exciting things that Scottish Labour has planned. Shit. We should use the new powers coming to the Scottish Parliament to make people's lives... Okay, so Daniel's not a fan, and he's not too bright either, or he thinks I'm a complete imbecile. His letter waffles on about using the new powers to invest in education. It fails to mention that it means raising taxes on all working families in Scotland, especially the lowest earners and even pensioners. They always say we should use the new powers coming to the Scottish Parliament to make people's lives better. Never, we'll tax people more to fund Labour councils. Some powers are absolutely useless, often dangerous and destructive. I've got the power to stand up and run headfirst at top speed into a wall. Wouldn't be the smartest thing to do though. Labour started this cuckoo idea by promising a £100 tax rebate for everyone earning less than $20,000, but dropped the plan after the tax-free allowances was raised by Osborne. Not that it'll help, because Osborne announced a tax hike in 2013, which is only just coming into effect, and will see people paying a 1.4% increase in national insurance payments. So Labour's claim that the low-paid won't lose out is more fantastical than the First Minister in May being Kezia Dugdale. If you get some extra cash thanks to not being taxed, then lose that extra thanks to being taxed, whilst losing even more because you are being taxed, how are you not losing out? This is the same shit we've had for both Labour and Tory governments for decades. Give with one hand, take with the other, and I'm fucking sick of it. I don't know why this clown even bothered to write to me. One of his canvassers, a Sheila Gilmore, who used to work round here but was retired, was told in no uncertain terms at my door just a couple of months ago he's got no chance of having my vote. Well, not strictly true. I said I'd vote for him if I couldn't find any misleading information within this leaflet that she gave me. It's about the same useless drivel as the rest of his guff. He's a local boy, lives in the area, he has a family, he understands. Then some pish for Dugdale about... No wait, this bit is good. Kezia Dugdale has been Scottish Labour leader for just a few short months, but has already set out a clear direction. And then we come to the misleading mince at the back, apparently the political bit. The SNP have been in power for almost a decade, or 9 years. Judge us on our record, they said. Well, okay. Housing. Since Nicola Sturgeon was first elected to Parliament in 1999, the number of young people paying rent to private landlords has increased from 13% to 41%. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Labour in government in both Westminster and Holyrood for the first 8 of those years, where we saw private landlords explode faster than when Thatcher introduced right to buy, helping create a housing bubble that wrecked the economy? Labour are so embarrassed by their record on housing they're trying to shift the blame onto the SNP. And they should be embarrassed. 6 houses, was it? You know, just 28% of people aged 16 to 34 in Scotland own their own home. Anyone else know any 16-year-olds that own their own home? I don't know anyone that owned their own gaff much before 32. Health. Spending on the NHS has fallen by 1% over the last 5 years. Okay, so they got this one right. And then again, they've got it wrong. They've included capital spending in their sums based on an Audit Scotland report, which includes the £842 million new hospital in Glasgow. And since they've finished spending that £842 million, the overall NHS spending has dropped by just 1%. What Audit Scotland made clear in the report was that day-to-day spending on care in the NHS has risen 5.8% over the last 5 years, which is pretty fucking impressive since our pocket money from Westminster has fallen 9% over the same period. It's a poor effort. He talks about ending the SNP's politics of grievance and blame, yet wastes most of the letter blaming the SNP for everything. Cuts the Edinburgh Council's budgets, for example. But despite him working for 7 years in the financial sectors, he fails to mention that on average 44% of all council tax in Scotland goes towards paying off debt. Ever increasing rates of debt interest on PFI, Lobo loans and Westminster Treasury loan repayments. He mentions the SNP more times than he mentions Scottish Labour. It's all the SNP cuts, not the Westminster Tory cuts forced on people who didn't vote for a Tory government, which I believe is the official line in Wales by the current Labour government there. I mean, I've got no problem paying more tax if it really was going to provide better public services and help the people who live here, but not in order to mitigate unnecessary cuts forced on us by a government I didn't vote for. On the other hand, the SNP have, amongst loads of other stuff, abolished prescription charges, bridge tolls, university tuition fees, eye test fees, kept the NHS funded and public, increased free childcare, funded free school meals for kids in primary 1 to 3, bus passes for pensioners, personal care for the elderly, mitigated the bedroom tax and did it all whilst freezing council tax for 8 years. It's not surprising that Dan's leaflets are filled with misleading arse gravy when you discover they are promoted by Dunce Bothersall. Daniel Dunce and Scottish Labour should try a new tagline for their leaflets. Scottish Labour, shafted by Tories, shunned by the people.